Go.
Here we go. Episode 23 of Vegas Day Drinkers Sip Socialize Shine. We're going to call this one Winging It with the Jumpman.
Could it be like a Bon Jovi thing?
Maybe.
A wing and a prayer?
Yeah, we're halfway there. So.
Just keep rolling.
Is that your go-to Bon Jovi?
You know what? I don't think I've heard Bon Jovi anything in like 100 years.
Really?
Yeah.
John's getting up there. So is Richie.
Isn't he like, weren't they here recently? Or didn't they have a residency or something like that?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Oh my gosh, that's how out of the loop I am. You know,
Yeah.
I'm in the loop, but under the loop and around the loop.
Both of our haircuts are too short and styled for to be a true Bon Jovi. We're going to record this one. We're playing catch up to run back, and we're going to talk a few things. Probably just going to be a short one because we got a lot going on.
Yeah, as we always do, you know.
Yeah, we're going to talk all things English, as in the country, as in the band, as in the presenter. We're going to talk about continued nickel and diming, and if the Strip and like local casinos are going to cut some rates this summer. We're going to talk Mr. Beast back in Vegas. We're going to talk about our beer that we're going to try this week, the Costco beer that I randomly picked up, made from the chutes up in your neck of the woods in the Northwest.
In Portland, well, not in Portland, but Oregon somewhere.
Yeah, they're Helles style lager, so a German style. So I thought, why not for $13.99 for a 12-pack?
Heck yeah. They have my favorite Christmas beer, or it was my favorite Christmas beer, Jubilee.
That's right, I've had that.
But then you introduced me to Omegang, which is out of Cooperstown, New York.
Yeah.
What was that Christmas beer called? Do you remember?
Tasty. I forget, but it had like the spice, all the warm holiday spices and everything.
It tasted like drinking a Christmas tree, but a Christmas tree beer,
right,
if you will.
Right, it was. And you've got some bar stories, so let's get to it. Tell me a bar story.
Well, the other day at work,
Should we crack it?
Yeah, might as well. I just, like randomly, like the other day at work, here's the random. Here's the random.
Hello, everybody. Sip, socialize, shine.
The other day at work, I had a couple things happen. Basically, I had a guy come up to the bar, and you get the guy that like wants to get a little too close.
Right.
When there's one person at the bar, and then the drunkest guy in the world walks in, and they have to sit literally like right next to the sober person that doesn't want to be bothered.
Sure.
When there's 15 seats at the bar, but this guy had the worst breath that I've ever smelled. I mean, I've smelled dead people before, and this guy's breath.
What are you, Haley Joel Osment or something?
Oh my God, yeah. I ran into him at Disneyland once, in his heyday. He's a little more hay-full nowadays. He's full of hay.
Sure.
Yes, this guy's breath was so bad that it just it took about 3 or 4 hours for me to get it out of my nostrils. Like, I wanted some menthol to put up my nose so I could just get the scent of it out of my nose. And then I had this guy walk up to me, get a beer. I feel bad for saying it, but the guy had this growth on the top of his head that literally looked like another head.
Ugh.
And I was just like, buddy, you should get that looked at. You want to say something, but you can't. You're like, oh my God.
Do you have health care? Do you have a primary?
And then after that, I had a guy. He just walked straight, beelined it for me, like doing S curves the whole way.
Okay.
And I'm like, this guy's clearly had enough. And I just was like, I'm not giving you any more because I don't want to be the guy that gives you the last one and then have Metro come back on me. But I was like, hey, buddy, I want you to get on your plane, have a good day. And he promptly flipped me off and turned around and said, fuck you. And I'm like, have a great day. But 10 minutes later, I see Metro coming down the hall. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm going to take one guess who they're coming for. Sure enough, look around the corner. It's my guy.
Yeah.
They have him on the floor, knee on his neck, and he took a swing at one of them. So. Yeah,
people got to remember. I mean, that's a bar story. Kind of leading into it. You have to realize any airport, for that matter, is a federal facility, and international, I guess. Anyway, I don't know about a regional airport, but if you take a swing at somebody or threaten somebody in there, it's a whole different level. It's not just like going to jail time. It's potentially like being on the do not fly list for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And to your story about always appeasing the guest as Maximus as you can, Darren Benjamin. A couple years ago, I had.
Is that a reference to my bovine friend here?
It is indeed.
What do you think of him?
Quite girthy.
I love all things Maximus.
He has a lot of steers.
Have you ever seen my Gladius, my sword? I'll show you after the show.
No, we'll save that for we'll save that for the after.
Chris,
bits.
have you seen my sword?
Whew, doggy. We're not even 5 minutes into this.
Yeah, I know.
But a couple years ago, I've told this story a few times. You know, obviously being from Kansas City originally, in football season, I've switched it out now for the Vegas Day Drinkers lanyard. But I wear my Chiefs lanyard, so it's a talking point for guests. And you know, there's a fair bit of Kansas City flights that come through the Southwest Terminal at Seagates. But I had a Raiders guy come up to me one day, and he was pretty lit already.
Mind you, Raiders, Chiefs, huge rivalry.
Right.
To this day.
Not even the week of the game, just in season, mind you. And he was pretty foobarred anyway. And he goes, "Hey," I go, "What's going on?" He goes, "I'm gonna go get my buddy. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna fuck you up." I'm like, "Why are you gonna fuck me up?" He goes, "Because of that lanyard you're wearing."
Over what?
Over the Chiefs lanyard. Because I mean, he had his Raider jersey on, and I'm always playful with everybody. I'm not like the sports fan that's like, "Ha, you guys suck." I'll be like, "Oh, you know, you got the new kid, Austin Ginty, I think, from Boise State. You know, you got the Geno Smith coming in that was with your Seahawks." So I was like, I just try and keep it positive talking points. But it's like, okay. So anyway, going back to the story, I go, okay. I mean, if that's what you want to do, man. I said, but you know, do realize, like I said a moment ago, you know, you are in a federal facility. I am protected. You have the right. I have the right to defend myself. Mm-hmm. And I go, if you hit me, you better make sure you knock me out, because Metro's probably going to be surrounded by you in moments. Yeah. And you'll be on the do not fly list for the rest of your life. So I just want you to consider all of these things
before you jump in.
Before you truly want to show your appreciation for being a Raider Nation. And so you can tell with the depth and the academic level of a Raiders fan, you could see the wheels clicking, just clicking.
So was this how tall was this guy? I just gotta ask. Was he like your height, or was he like
maybe 5'10"?
He had the Rocky thing going on, like you know, dun, 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 dun. He's gonna take you on.
Right. So you can just see the wheels clicking there. So I was waiting to see what else he was gonna say, because he was gonna go get his buddy, right? And so then you just see it. Then it clicked in, everything I just said to him processed, and he just looks at me with the squinted drunk eyes and goes, "Fuck you, bro." Walks away. So,
have you ever had a moment like, you just made me think, because he's 5'10", I'm 5'6", so you know you've had my back many times, and like when people look at me, they're like, "I'm gonna fight, bro," because you know I'm short, and then I'd be like, "Let me get my friend here," and then you'd walk around the corner and be like, "I'm leaving, but he's a fucking jerk." Yeah. You know, immediately their tone changes.
Yeah, the narrative.
But like, have you ever had a guy like, you know, last season at Reacher, there was the bad guy.
Oh yeah.
That walked up to you and you're like, "Holy shit."
Yeah.
Has that ever happened to you?
It's funny you say that, because the other day Alonzo at the bar at work was sitting there. There was a guy that probably came in up to the to-go window, was probably about an inch or two, just slightly taller than me, and built. And I go to get his to-go beer, so I have to walk to the other end because that's where the taps are at. And Alonzo goes there. He's just chuckling. I go, "What's up with you?" He goes, "Looking at you two down there is like two bears about to fucking growl." And I go, "Roar." So, but you know, super nice guy. Usually it's not the tall guys or the big guys you have to worry about. It's the sparky ones, you know.
Yeah, like me.
Yeah, there you go. So
vertically challenged.
Which is a campaign for milk. It does a body good. Remember, kids, if you are watching this, we try and make this over 21. But get your calcium and have strong bones and grow tall.
Or just drink beer.
Yeah. Which is pretty tasty, right?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I mean that's in you know, on our talking points board. Like that's another thing. I mean, these joint ventures that Kirkland Costco does with these distilleries and breweries and everything, let alone all their other private label products with the Kirkland brand, are usually pretty phenomenal. I mean, this is kind of interesting because they just come out and say, instead of having the whole whodunit and like 37 Costco blogs go, "Who makes the lager?" You know, they just go ahead and put it on there that it's Deschutes, which, you know, famously in the past, their European vodka is made by Grey Goose, and I believe their Irish whiskey was made by Kilbeggan, which you're a fan of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's you know, that's Costco being Costco. You know, like they buck all the trends. They pay their employees more than the minute, you know, what they have to. They just are a good company to work for, and then you know they support local businesses by using them to create their products. You know.
Sure.
It's kind of neat.
Which, have you driven by the new one that they're building at 215 in Buffalo?
Yeah. I'm excited.
Did you tell me this, or someone was telling me within the last 48 hours that they're out there actively marketing that as, to date, it will be the largest Costco ever built?
Really?
Yeah. So somebody, I was like, that was my exact. I was like, really?
Now, have you ever been to a Costco business center?
Just the one down on MLK here briefly,
Yeah.
but it's been so long.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. It's a little more intense.
Yeah.
So is this going to be a business center?
I don't think so, but I'm just like, but the way, I mean, they're going gangbusters on it, and he was saying August, which I find hard to believe. I would think it would be done by Christmas to get that retail.
Pumping out those $1.50 hot dogs.
Yeah.
I had
The chicken bake.
when I was young and poor, I used to love Sundays because I would, it doesn't matter how poor you are, you can scrape together $1.50, or back then it was $1.
Yeah.
I'd wander down to Costco, I'd get the buffet sample, and I'd get a hot dog and a soda and just sit there and get full. And to the point where, the people would be like, hey, you already came and got one of those samples.
Yeah.
So it was like my poor man's Sunday buffet. It was
So
awesome.
you tell me there's a chance.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't like samples?
Yeah.
Just before I came over today, I was doing like some tidying up around the house and reading the online version of the LVRJ.
Do the dogs chase you around and just mess it up as you go?
They just bring me my sandals and slippers and ask for dog treats.
Nice.
No,
Nice.
but it's a constant. It's a run the broom through the front room every day and sweep up the excess dog hair.
I think you should get one of them Tesla robots when they come out and
Wouldn't that be something?
program to clean dog hair
Yeah.
and maybe make you a Cosmo
Yeah.
when you get off work.
And a Zumba.
Yeah.
Or a Roomba.
Roomba. A Zumba Roomba.
A Zumba Roomba. But LVRJ putting out there that more casinos and hotels are discounting fares for the summertime, or removing resort fees, or offering free parking, as the naysay and the negativity continues in the Las Vegas Valley, and people being, as they put it, quote unquote, being nickel and dimed, which we've talked about on the show ample.
Well, I know at the airport in the E-gates, they've cut everybody's hours, and they're doing a lot of shuffling, especially with the FFAs, which is like the fast food attendants and everything. They're just, because there's not as much business over there. So
Yeah.
I think they're all working like 6 hours, or I don't know exactly what they're doing, but I just know there's been a big shuffle because there's a severe lack of business because of the current climate.
But that is the international terminal also, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, summertime's a little slower anyway, so it's not
Right.
really like there's no big. I think it's more talk.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to circle the Conestoga yet, but I mean, summer is slower. The rates usually become cheaper. I mean, it's hot here, right?
I'm of the mind that these guys, these executives, they just look for any way they can cut costs. So they'll lay off employees, and then they'll see what they can get away with and see what they can make you work more for, just so they can pay people less. And
Sure.
but that that doesn't have to do with their bottom lines and cutting rates and stuff like that. But those, if it stays slow, that's what'll happen. They'll cut jobs.
Did you see that the airport hangar-esque style building that they're building down by South Point now finally has some gravitas to it, and what it is?
Oh, what you're speaking of is that, it looks like it's on Las Vegas Boulevard next to South Point. It's looks like a airplane hangar, right?
Right.
Yeah. So the other day when it was windy, I saw one of the flaps was open and there was a whole bunch of like LED lights in there. It looks pretty colorful, but you managed to find out it's what?
Yeah, it popped on a couple of the Twitter page. I forget if it was Las Vegas Locally or Vital Vegas, but Mr. Beast is filming season 2 of his show here.
That's crazy. Because, I'm like, they built this whole structure to house this thing. Like, would they just use an existing building, or was it cheaper just to build a tent?
I don't know.
I mean, I know, working in Las Vegas for a long time, that the convention centers in those spaces, they charge an arm and a leg, but
Sure.
for those spaces. But I mean,
Were you
that's
telling
crazy.
me, and along that point, were you telling me something yesterday that was it the state legislature or the federal legislature did not pass the grant money?
Oh yeah. So there was on the books there was the Hollywood 2.0 in Las Vegas, and I guess I don't know much about our state constitution. Sorry for I should know more, but apparently when the legislative session ends, if the bills aren't passed, they just expire. So it was on the books. It was supposed to get passed, and they loaded it up with pork or whatever. They call it pork in those bills, and it didn't pass. So Hollywood 2.0 in Vegas is officially dead. It was a $1.4 billion tax cut for movie studios.
Yeah.
And Sony was going to be the big investor in that.
So dare we say that Mark Wahlberg will not be having a good vibration? Because Because he was kind of paramount in that, pun intended, I guess, again, with being a cheerleader for having the studios built here.
When the Beach Boys go dark, they have bad vibrations.
Yeah, are you wearing Calvin Klein? No, anyway, no, so I guess that's dead in the water for now. But, we talked on the show last week about summer concerts at Allegiant, and it was Kendrick Lamar and SZA, and I think I said that correct. This weekend we have SZA. Back-to-back nights, Friday and Saturday in early June with Coldplay.
Yeah, I have not bought a ticket. I was thinking about it.
Okay. You're gonna go.
I'm always a little apprehensive because, every time I think about going to a Coldplay concert, I think of the SNL skit.
Sure.
You know how I know you're gay? You listen to Coldplay.
Wasn't that 40-Year-Old Virgin?
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
I thought it was SNL.
I'm going to go Steve Carell.
Steve Carell, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Are you okay, buddy? You asked me before we started recording if I was all right.
Yeah.
You're dropping bad refs.
Yeah.
Did you see, speaking of 40-Year-Old Virgin, Paul Rudd last weekend, amongst the other Kansas City actors, him, Dave Koechner, Rob Riggle, Jason Sudeikis, Heidi, I can't think of her last name, that's on SNL currently, did the Big Slick charitable tournament, which raises money for Children's Mercy Hospital in Kansas City. I think they raised over $4 million this year. So another record year, banner year. What started off almost, 2010? So 15 years into this that's phenomenal. As a celebrity poker tournament has kind of evolved into this.
So who put that together? Is it the three? Is it Rob Riggle, Paul Rudd, and Jason? Is that who started it?
And it's Eric Stone Street also.
Eric Stone Street.
Yeah, so those guys were kind of the impetus. I don't know who sat down with who or kind of like careened everybody in first. I could probably text somebody and find that out.
Have you ever been to that event?
I have. It's fun.
Cool.
But I was in it early days, so again, now it's a celebrity softball game. Then it's a big event now at T-Mobile in Kansas City.
Speaking of Paul Rudd, did they do a race with condiments or something like that?
Yeah.
And he was ketchup?
Yes.
And he won the race, and then when he finished the race, he said, "Ketchup is an Avenger." And I was like, that's awesome.
That is awesome.
Because, Ant-Man.
You told me that last night, and then also, George Wendt, who we talked about in last week's episode, who passed away on May 20th, had been a regular contributor to the event, and they gave a nice little homage, tip of the hat, where they brought his sister, Kathy Sudeikis, and her husband, Dan, and then Jason kind of led everybody in Where Everybody Knows Your Name.
Oh, so cool.
As a Kansas City send-off, if you will.
I'm still stunned, by that show. The theme song, the second verse that nobody knows.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny where you're like, what?
Yeah, it's kind of like the second verse of Ted Lasso. If you ask Mumford & Son, he goes, "Why didn't you perform that?" Because it drops off after the first verse.
Yeah, exactly.
What is your favorite Coldplay song?
Oh, favorite? Oh, God. My kid did a thing to what's it called? Starry something. I can't remember the name. Anyway, moving on. I just love that song. The one, I can't remember the name.
Gotcha. Not Yellow, of course.
No, definitely not Yellow. Wasn't Yellow the one that was written for Gwyneth Paltrow? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the one they got them get together, right?
Yep, and they have Little Apple. But she's probably not a Little Apple anymore. She's a Big Apple.
Big Apple.
Dare we say she lives in New York?
That's right.
Fix You is
Fix
mine.
You?
And I kind of like...
oh, no, that's the one written for Gwyneth Paltrow. Fix You was.
Was it? Okay.
Yes.
Fix You is mine, and then the video famously where I believe it is on the south bank of the River Thames in London, where he's going through the old warehouses and eventually goes up on the stage and takes the single drop filament light bulb and swings it around, and the next thing he's on stage and
Can I tell you a quick Coldplay story? Well, last year he came and he was busking on the strip all around Fremont Street, right? I have a weird, it's a random Coldplay story. When I worked at the Experience at the Hilton, three British guys come in. I'm like, you guys are cool, and you're good tapers. What the hell's going on? Like an idiot, that I am. And they're like, oh, we're in a band. And I was working day shift, and I never worked day shift but I'd switch with somebody so I could go to the Coldplay concert. And turns out they were the other three members of Coldplay.
Okay.
But I just listen to the music. I don't know the names of the songs, the albums. I don't know any of that stuff. I just enjoy it. I would be able to recognize Chris Martin now. Sure. But those guys, this is back in 2002.
And to give them props, it's Guy, Will, and Johnny are the other members of Coldplay.
Yeah, I'm just not into the names or the history. Sure. I just like the music.
Sure. Did you see that our friend...
but they are nerds.
They are nerds.
And I love that.
And, along that point, when he was here busking last fall, which tied into around the time of the iHeart Music Festival at T-Mobile, he was also in disguise and did karaoke down at Dino's, where they were filming for the first single off the new album that came out last fall. And I am still of the belief, because we have the Sphere and nobody else in the world has the Sphere, that Coldplay is the perfect band to do one of the residencies.
To do the Sphere.
Doing a residency there at some point. Because
their new album is called Spheres.
Is it really?
I think that's what the name of it is.
Because all their albums are mostly concept albums, and they have this whole ensemble with their uniform look and everything, and how that would just tie into a visual, artistic endeavor at Sphere, as
I'm hoping that they do a residency there.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it would, and I think they have enough of a fan base that would drive the revenue for Mr. Dolan.
I definitely want to go. I'm off Saturday, so there's a good chance that I will buy a ticket, but I'm just kind of waiting to see where the prices go.
Sure.
I saw one for like $212.
Maybe you could, that's not bad.
But it's like an obstructed view.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, I don't really care about...
Maybe you could identify as Andrews Porter and just go in and kind of be working the event,
Do they allow service animals?
Maybe.
For the workers?
Yeah. I was chatting with him the other day, and they were saying he's expecting a pretty solid weekend as far as attendance, and then ultimately like liquor sales and beverage sales. As we continue to talk things Anglophile English, we were talking about this last night. I'm a big fan of, which the new season 4, just came out on Amazon Prime Video, Clarkson's Farm, which you've not watched.
I know the man was in the Top Gear show for years, yeah.
So yeah, Richard Hamm, James May, and then Jeremy Clarkson were the 3 presenters in that series.
Is that show still going on?
I don't think so. They had some iterations, and then
Didn't they do one with like not Matthew Perry, Matt, Friends guy?
I don't know. I missed
the American version, perhaps?
Oh.
Matt LeBlanc?
Did they do it with him? I thought they did it with Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s buddy from one of the NBC series, a comedian that used to be on Rescue Me, and another guy. They did it. Yes, they did an American version, but I don't think Matt Perry. I don't recall him.
I'm not into that. I'm not into that show. I know it's super popular.
But Jeremy Clarkson is a Yorkshireman. He's got that dry, like sardonic wit of English humor, and
he's very kind of John Cleese.
esque. So he has his riches. He's definitely a city boy, if you will. But to offset some of his taxes, he went in the early 2000s and bought a farm out in the Cotswolds, which is about 80 miles west of London.
Wouldn't it be nice to be like, I have to find a way to not pay taxes with all this money that I have?
Correct. And for a decade, basically they just sat on it and did nothing with the farm. It was a working farm, never really went out there. And I think when life gives you lemons, the pandemic, he made lemonade, and so provided content for this new series on Amazon, which has been wildly successful. Mm-hmm. And I was laughing with you last night because his foil in the show that actually knows how to manage and run a farm is this young kid named Caleb Cooper. Well, with the show's popularity, he's doing these speaking tours around all corners of the English Isle and has his own little degree of celebrity now. So in one of the episodes, this is a great phrase and I'm going to utilize it more. And episode 4 or 5, he comes back from tour in the 4th season. And so, obviously when you're on stage, everything's just a lot easier for you. Mm-hmm. let me tie your shoes, let me touch up your hair. What did you want? What's on the rider, this and that. So Jeremy Clarkson pulls him aside. He goes, mate. He goes, I've been a bit of a TV presenter for a while, so let me tell you some things. I'm friends with a very famous band here, and what they used to do when they came back from tour is, he goes, they'd rent a house in the country for 2 weeks, and they would just go out there and discombobulate because they basically had the cunt flu. And he goes, excuse me, what? And he starts
the see you next Tuesday flu?
Yeah, the cunt flu. He goes, because just to regulate yourself back to just normal everyday living, that everything's just not given to you on a silver platter.
Is that my problem? Maybe I need to go rent a house.
What?
That's funny.
But I was sitting there.
I like that term.
Yeah, I think the C word is underutilized in this country, and I know it can be very ostentatious as far as getting people elevated. It's
just a word, people.
Yeah.
I'm sick and tired of people being upset about, oh my gosh, I can't believe you said that to me. It's just a word, for fuck's sake.
It is. But it's a great series, and if you do have Amazon Prime, which I imagine most of you do, because who doesn't have 2-day delivery?
It's kind of nice.
It's fun to watch.
Have to pay for it.
Yeah. And most of it, I mean, I know a couple friends watch it with subtitles on because it is the same language we speak, but it is like slight variation. And I have no problem with it other than maybe Caleb's father, whose name is eluding me at the moment, but he has a very thick Middle English brogue, yeah. Gerald, that's his name, Gerald. Yeah. Like I said, we're going to keep this one kind of short. What else you got this week? Like you said, the Coldplay concert, possibly.
I think, is Kenny Chesney's residency going still, or is that over for now?
I think so, yeah.
And who do we have? Luke Combs is coming next for country?
I haven't heard that. I heard they leaked kind of maybe Zach Brown in wintertime. But, I think in August, we're in June now. They're kitting out the original theatrical release of The Wizard of Oz to be played.
So, that's right, this winter, yeah.
So I'm sure there's many closets in Las Vegas homes right now that have, psilocybin growing just in time.
I just saw a trailer for Cosm LA, which is like a mini version of Sphere. Have you seen that, where they do live sporting events?
I've heard people talk about it.
We could get one of those here.
Yeah. You don't think we have enough event space?
No, just like a restaurant. It's a restaurant bar.
And, okay, I didn't know that.
And they do live sport events. So, like, if you can imagine, servers come to your area and bring you food and drink while you're watching the game, but they do live events. So, like, you can watch the basketball playoffs right now. The championship. Is it championship right now?
They start tomorrow. Yeah, Thursday.
So who's in that?
It's the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Oh, the Sonics are playing. Yeah,
so
I love the fact that the Sonics are in it.
Two small market teams. I'm sure Adam Silver's not very pleased, but that's who is going to the dance.
I support the Sonics.
Yeah, and then
whatever they do.
And then you have the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers in the NHL Stanley Cup Finals.
So going back to the Cosm, you can watch it like at ringside or courtside.
Okay.
So can you imagine? And then they have the main view of the Sphere is courtside, but then they have smaller screens showing the whole game as well.
Okay.
So I'll show you a video after the show. You can check it out.
Gotcha.
Anyway, I don't know. Gonna hit any bars this week? Try anything different?
I want to get down to Hard Hat Lounge. I've got some emails to send.
Yeah.
Just kind of getting through the first of the month bills and everything. This.
Yeah, real life kind of gets in the way of us having all the fun in the world.
Right. Because the beer's cold, but it's not free yet. So on that, here's the episode 23, Winging It with the Jumpman.
Sip, socialize, shine.
Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe and all that other fun stuff that social media requires us to do.
Aren't you proud of me? I got it right this time?
Thank God. So, see you soon. Thank you.
Take care.